Stanley's little embossed little letterhead thing because I am in the Holy of Holies. There's a burning bush right behind me. I would show you, but I'd have to kill you. This is where he sits just before he goes into the church to change the world. I have gotten saved on his TV show at least 12 times. That's my theological problem. Unbelievable. This is pretty awesome. I think tonight I'm not going to be funny, but I'm going to do the exegesis of the book of Philippians. Thank you and have a wonderful night.
It's time to have some fun. Light talk with Sammy Mudd. We got skits and interviews. We got everything but the blues. It's on. Light talk is on. Light talk with Sam Beeman.
Here I am with my good friend Chonda Pierce.
It's so funny he says good friend. I've only seen him twice in my life. But thank you for the Christmas present. But
Yes, yes, no problem. I hope you enjoyed that. Here we are.
But if we knew each other better, I'm sure we would be good friends.
It would just be like, yes.
Exactly. When it comes to know Jesus, I'll
We
be more
are-
inclined to be his friend.
Yeah, brother and sister in the Lord.
Let's don't drag the Lord into it.
Well, here we are in Atlanta, Georgia,
Yes.
at First Baptist Church. Charles Stanley, yeah.
Charles Stanley's church. I didn't know that till like 10 minutes ago. I think it was the big gigantic portrait in the foyer, the rotunda, that gave it away. Yeah, it's a pretty big church.
Well, and
We're in like one little corner of it, just, about
it's a small
100 people over in the corner. Other than that, it's a real big deal.
And you're on tour right now.
I am. I feel like I live there. But,
Really?
but I am. I'm on tour right now, and it's been going really good until the last couple of shows, to tell you the truth. We have those ups and downs when you hit that wall. There are markets, not to make it all about business, but this is the business of ministry, and I'm out with food for the hungry, so you do want it to go well. There's a purpose for being out there, and so Warren Barfield and I are touring together, and the last couple of shows we've hit a little bit of a wall, and so you stop, regroup, and wonder why that is. Is my career truly in the toilet, or did you just hit a market that's soft, and you got to work harder? And I have some wonderful artist friends, though, so you call them up and going, how's it going for you?
Yeah.
I'll tell you how it's going for me. And it's like that all across the board. And my agents and managers all tell me that. Of course, they're trying to butter me up. That's what they do for a living. But it's like that across the board. Everything, the economy is down, everything is soft, and so you have to stop and not let. These are the days that God reminds you it's not about what's ego-driven or applause-driven. But as we know, and you know, it is easier to walk out in a room and talk to 3,000 people than it is 50. Because that's like being naked. If you just want to know, that's how it feels.
For those of you who are wondering what that feeling is like.
That's right. Exactly. And so you have to just stop and go, okay, tonight it is what it is. But of course, I don't know. There could be 1,000 people out there tonight. I don't know. I don't usually ask until I hear there's a problem. And then when I get off the bus, someone kindly goes, now remember, tonight was a soft night and the radio, didn't have a lot of airplay, blah, blah, blah. And they start making their excuses as you walk to the door. That's when you know, oh, it's going to be one of those nights.
How long have you been in comedy?
Oh, good Lord. About 18 years.
18 years.
15,
Have you
18
seen
years.
waves like this happen?
I have.
Okay.
I have. I have had my peak days. I mean, just busting it out there in 3,000 and 5,000 a night consistently for about 4 or 5 years. That was my an artist calls that their heyday. That's when I was hot on the trail, and that's when I was younger and had the energy for that amount of people, and still have those in occasional pockets across the country. But and then I hit the wall, Sam. Like a lot of those behind the scenes VH1 specials.
Yes,
that you
this
hear.
is behind the scenes right here at Charles Stanley's church.
Exactly. I wound up in rehab and dealing with,
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
I didn't even have a good addiction story. you know, when you go around group and everybody's telling, I've been on coke for years, or I'm a sex addict, or, you know, they get to me and I go, I'm depressed. You know, I didn't have a really good testimony. I was just sad. But God was faithful, and I got through that. But it takes a few years for lack of a better word, for the market to trust you again. Mm-hmm. That you're back, you're good, you know. I started it up again, a couple of years, did pretty good, and then struggled with, you know, depression is that gift that keeps on giving. But I think I'm on a good track now. It's been probably, we call this in the AA world, I've been sober for 4.5 years. That means not that I'm an alcoholic, but it's been about 4.5, 5 years since a really deep episode.
Well, and for those who are just watching right now that probably had no clue,
yeah,
you know, because I mean, maybe they're just watching this video and like, wow, I can't believe a comedian like that would ever be depressed. Why? I mean, what kind of encouragement would you want to give someone?
Well, one, most comedians are depressed.
Check, please.
It's why we get into this to begin with. It's just a lot of them won't talk about it. Or when they do, it's very sarcastic.
Group therapy on stage, right?
Or in a dark comedy club somewhere. You know. Don't you, I mean, have you done this? You hear certain comics, especially the HBO comics or the club comics, and you go and you're there to support a friend, but you hear other couple of comics that you don't buy their CD. And you know, as a Christian, you go, oh my, and you listen to the ranting or their approach and their material, and I always want to stop and hug them, going, you should be in a rehab center, so you can really get rid of that anger if you want to, you know. But sometimes it is the anger that what drives a comedian. It's the sarcasm. It's that little twist of the negative edge that is the contrast to good. You know, and lightheartedness, you know, and if, and there are comedians out there that are so joyful and so fun, and they have the knock jokes, and the, you know, that's when you want to go, okay, there's a birthday party, you know, but I mean, and they have their place.
Yeah.
For me personally, I sit and listen to a comic like that, and I go, well, they have had no life. You know, and I kind of envy their wonderful, joyful, abundant life walk with the Lord, and all the materials, all light and funny. Once in a while, when I hear a comic that's got a little bit of that edge and taps dances close to the edge, and they have some, you know, that you read between the lines of their comedy, or there's a truth in the middle of their sarcasm that I always go, now that's a Jesus guy. I mean, that's a guy that knows Jesus because he walked in the dust with him. You know, the dust and the dirt. That's the guy who can, you know, that I really appreciate his laugh, because he's got a story.
Yeah. You
know, and whether he shares it or not, that's the one I always go, yeah, I'm gonna get his take, because there's a story behind that laugh, and I like that. Mm-hmm. I'm just sick that way.
And so, do you feel like that through those dark times that Christ was carrying you, and that you had a lot of friends?
Well, Christ and Effexor, that was definitely the mix. And a good shrink and a couple of therapists were carrying me. You know, your theology and your theology shakes a little in a dark place. It does when you lose a child. You know, we have.
I feel like you're in a fog.
Absolutely. And we have comics who have had horribly severe, painful times. You know, we were just talking off camera a little bit ago about our friend Taylor Mason, a great ventriloquist who lost his mom not long ago. We have a beautiful comic, Jenny Henson, who lost a daughter this last few years ago. You know, we have comics who make a living making people laugh, who they themselves are walking through deep, dark valleys. And but for the grace of God, you know, whatever your theology is, there's no way you make that. Yeah. Those are the comics that covered up with bourbon and whiskey in a dark comedy room and just become addicted to their job and the, you know, the adrenaline and whatever gets them through. We who fall into the arms of God, it'll either strengthen your faith or your resolve to have faith, or you won't. You know, you just walk away. And for me, when the dark began to lift and I could make a coherent thought, and the negativity was pushed back just a little bit, and medicine helps that, it taught me a lot about my faith. It taught me more of how much faith I didn't have. And it gave me a resolve to want to strengthen my faith. And I tell women every night, the gift that depression was for me as a comedian, the gift in that was that I can now serve God because of who He is, not because of how He makes me feel.
Very important.
It is very important because, I grew up charismatic, throw the Bible and you eat a chicken leg and shout glory hallelujah. And if you rely on the emotion of your walk with the Lord, you're going to be thoroughly disappointed because this is a tough world. This is a fallen world that we live in.
You're absolutely right. Well, Chonda, I know that you need to get to a show.
I do. I feel like we haven't been funny at all. This went fast.
What? Of course we do.
Oh, you're easy to talk to. You should be like a Dr. Phil or something.
How does that make you feel?
Stupid. I can count on one hand, Sam, how many comedy clubs I've been in my whole career. So that's a new venture for me. And it's not that I had some spiritual stance. The door never opened. Mm-hmm. It never materialized, or it just, And so this guy called, and to explain to him how you have platinum records and have never walked into a comedy club, to a man like that is going, what the? What the? Along with other words, but what the? But what's really cool is to be in an atmosphere where someone is truly watching your spiritual life and the influence that can have. It's real fun and refreshing. It's easy to tell on stage to a bunch of people that Jesus lives and He is who He says He is. But to let someone walk with you through business and the tough times and the good times, and that knows nothing about Jesus, and let Him see you living with the fact that Jesus is who He says He is, that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And that's been more fun than the doors of opportunity that He's opened. It's just been so fun to have these theological discussions with someone who knows absolutely nothing about church.
And that's where
nothing about Jesus
tells us not to hide our light.
I know.
And
when you don't hide your light, you'll be so surprised where God shines it. Mm-hmm. I always feel like God is this long, gray-headed, loving-looking, the guy on the Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Well, the just beautiful, whatever his name was. I don't watch those. There's nothing. But anyway, it's this loving guy in a lighthouse. You're the lighthouse, and every now and then He has to change the bulb, or every now and then He has to adjust it, or every now and then He has to turn it to the east or turn it to the west. And He's in there taking care of the housing of your light, and sometimes He dims it, and sometimes He brightens it. But if you let Him be the man who runs the lighthouse, oh my goodness, the ships that come rolling in, it's unbelievable. Oh, that's such a good metaphor. I hope we're recording this.
We are.
Charles Stanley could use this.
All right, we're back here with Mr. Warren Barfield.
Greetings.
Now, Warren, we had you on the program just a couple of episodes ago, so it's good to see you again.
Thanks, man. It's great to be back.
And you're actually with Miss Chonda.
Yes, well, not with her, but I'm with her.
Yeah. You're on a tour with Kirk. Now you're on the tour with Chonda, and
they're all
from
running.
The sign to the center.
Yeah, they're all running. Which is which? They're all running together. We're doing shows. Jeffrey and I, my brother, we do concerts together, he and I, and then we meet up with Kirk and do some events. We meet up with Chonda and do some events. Here I'm not funny. On the marriage events, I'm funny because people don't expect it. But here people laughing at Chonda, and I get up there and they're like, huh. I leave the marriage event with people going, you should be a comedian. And I leave the Chonda event with people going, stick to singing.
That's not so, whiner.
All right, well, I know that you guys need to get back to your show.
I'm just going to go eat some food.
Right now. Okay, all right, cool. Well, thank you again for meeting with me.
Thank you.
The time.
Great to see you once again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look straight to the camera as I say this. It's great to see all of you again.
All right, Warren Barfield, we're going to go ahead and cut to a break. We'll be back in just a moment. Thank you, Warren.
Thank you, dude.